Welcome, everybody. This is the Alberniweather podcast for Valentine's Day, February 14th, 2025. This is my first podcast of the year, actually. It's been a busy start to the year, so apologize I haven't been out very much, but yeah, we're going to do a lot of catch up today. We have lots to talk about. We have a change in the weather coming. So it's been very cold for quite a while, and we're going to see a change in that this weekend. We have a new social media website to talk about, which I want to introduce you to. We have some earthquake stuff to get into. So yeah, and we have a bunch of records and things to talk about. So lots to do, lots to talk about. First thing I want to show you is I am super excited to introduce something new to the website. It's called a raspberry shake. I'm just going to zoom in here so you can see the little doodaddy box guy. So I have one of these guys in my basement now. It's a tiny little computer. And it has a little geophone. Looks like a giant capacitor just inside the box, and it detects earthquakes. And when I got it, I thought, well, that'll be cool. I'd love to be able to detect earthquakes, but I didn't realize how cool this thing would be. Like it legit detects everything. Super cool. So you can see, I'll show you how to get to this map in a second, but this is the live output of it. So it's always online. There are thousands of these little devices all over. So very much like weather stations have proliferated over the past 10 years. When I got my weather station for Alberniweather back in 2005, there were a lot out there, but it wasn't hugely popular to have your own weather station. And today there are millions of weather stations. So I think we're seeing a little bit of the same kind of thing happening with earthquakes, earthquake sensing technology. It's not quite the same variety of things that you can get from an earthquake sensor, but it's still really cool to be able to contribute to a citizen science kind of network. And this is detecting earthquakes. So you can see, so what I've learned, and I admit I don't know really anything about earthquakes. It's just, what we all know about magnitudes and that kind of thing. And I know a little bit about there's different kinds of waves through the earth and all of that sort of thing. Anyway, this thing picks up all of that. It has what are called weak motion and strong motion sensors. And I didn't have to do anything special. Let me just find my picture here of it, of my actual thing. Here it is. So I'm just gonna bring this over. So here's the box itself. So it's literally on my basement floor in a closet, beside some paint cans. And they said, as long as it's in a stable place, it can be pretty much anywhere. So you can see there are 3 screws here, 1, 2, and there's a third one on the back. Where is it? Right there. In the corner. So they are leveling screws, so they're pointy on the end, and they just have a little Allen key chuck there. So that's how we can make sure it's level. So you can see the bubble here. So I've leveled it, and that's literally it. That's all it has to do. So as long as it stays there, it's not anchored. It's in a place where it's not going to get kicked or moved or anything. But yeah, there it is. So this little round, tall capacitor-looking thing, that's the geophone. So there's a couple of different sensors in there that allow it to detect earthquakes, and then the rest. This is a Raspberry Pi computer, which have become quite common. They're very cheap little computers, but surprisingly powerful. They can run a full operating system and do all sorts of things. So it just needed a network connection and a power cable, and that's all it is. So what I've done is I have put it onto the website initially, just as a live feed. So this is a live feed from that device, and you can see here there are these little markers, and this isn't me walking around in the house or the family or anything. These are very low frequency detections, basically, and they're literally from anywhere in the world. So close to home today. So if you want to check this out, I put a link here. It says station map, station and earthquake map. So you can click on it and you can go to the map that you just saw before. And this is the instructions. So if you want to match up a quake that you know about, or you heard about, or you felt. So yesterday there was an earthquake just south of Victoria. You can go to the map, find the most recent earthquake. There's a list there. I'm going to show you in a second. And as long as you click on an earthquake and then click on my station, it'll link up the two, and you'll be able to see the actual output from that earthquake, which is it's super cool. It blew me away. So let's do the earthquake from last night, which was in Victoria. I'm just going to zoom in here. Here, use this button here to zoom in. There we go. So there's the earthquake from last night, and this will pop up very quickly. So because there are so many of these sensors, and I think that's one of the advantages of having this network, is earthquakes can be detected and localized super quickly. So it's not a replacement for Natural Resources Canada or the U.S. Geological Service, but I think it certainly augments that and maybe helps it. I don't know if there's connections between them, but here it is. So that's the earthquake from last night. If I hover over it, you can see it was February 14, and this is Universal Time, February 14, 5:59. So that's 10:59, I think, last night, our time. That might be off by an hour or two, something like that. So that's Universal Time, 3.7 magnitude. So if I click on it, so like I said, if you click on any earthquake, it'll pop up on the left-hand side. It'll give you the information about it. This shows that you can find more information at the USGS. I thought that was clickable. Oh, that's not. That's too bad. But there you go. So that's the information. And if you want to find just any earthquake, you can just go away from it and then come back, and it'll show you the latest earthquakes in the area. So if I zoom out here, it will show all of the earthquakes literally around the world. So it'll just keep filling in that display. So it will show one that you click on, or it will show whatever you see in the window. So there's the earthquake, right? So if you want to see what it looks like on my station or any of these stations, click on it here, and there it is. Bada bing. And I guarantee you, if you had felt that earthquake last night, and you went to my website, and probably, within a minute, you would probably see that, if that, maybe right away. There's some delay with the network connection, but yeah, you'd see it super super quickly. So it shows it in a bunch of different waveforms and a spectrograph, and it just picks it out of the noise. It's fantastic. It's so cool. So this blew me away, right? So I'm going to show you what just blew my mind. So when I plugged this in, I zoomed out, right? I went into the map, and I was like, oh wow, cool! Look, you can see all the maps. You can see all the stations everywhere. You can see all the red dots. Those are all earthquakes. That's super cool. And I can go on here, and I can be like, oh look at all the earthquakes in Greece. That's cool, right? So there's lots of activity in Greece right now. They're afraid that an island is going to blow up, or maybe make a new island, or who knows. So I clicked on one of these. It's not very big, 2.8. And then I went over and I clicked on my station. And there it is. Like, that's really, really, really cool. That earthquake is, how far away? Where is it? Where'd you go? Oh, there it is. 10,000 kilometers away. 10,000 kilometers away. It's bonkers. How does that work? I don't know. It's above my pay grade and my level of knowledge, but there it is. Like, that's that. That's that. Uh, Amazing, amazing. So it was about $1,000. This little device, one little capacitor, is detecting that thing. Amazing. So yeah, anywhere in the world you can click on any of these earthquakes that are occurring in the world, and they will pop up. So obviously, what I'm most interested in is stuff around our province and around our neck of the ocean, tsunami wise. So stuff like Victoria, of course, super interesting. The earthquakes there that they had in and around Fort St. John. Um, just take this off. Right, so 3.3. That was just in the past. So there were stronger ones than that. Let's see. Oh, sure there were stronger ones than that. Anyway, doesn't matter. But yeah, so there's one around Fort St. John. But yeah, and I could just click on it, and there it is. So that's cool. And of course, as far as tsunami threats go, we're always looking towards Alaska. So whenever there's something up in Alaska, that's going to be very interesting to keep an eye on. So there was one 5.8 yesterday afternoon, and there it is. So 2,000 kilometers away, and we still detected it. I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible technology. Incredible that it's so cheap, and I didn't have to do anything. I literally plugged it in to the network and plugged it into power and turned on my phone and went to the address, and there it was. So super super cool. If you want, you can click on. Where is it here? If I go, oh yeah, I have to get out of here first. So if I click on my station, you can see a bunch of other information here. Oh, there's another one. So if you're wondering what the colors mean, so this is actually pretty interesting. So there's vibrations everywhere, right? Especially if you're in a city or a town. So you'll see this ground motion on the side here. So that's what the the station is feeling at the moment in my basement. So there's the acceleration, 221 micrometers per second squared. The velocity, 2.1 micrometers per second, and the displacement is 0.06 micrometers. So I'm not entirely sure how they deal with this. They do have a legend and they have some desired ranges. I'm not completely up on how those work, but they do have this ground motion legend here, which is useful. So you can see, there's some spots around. Usually it's on a Gulf island in our locations, that are very quiet, right? So the blue here, less than 0.4 micrometers per second. Ours is not too bad. It usually is somewhere around 4 to 12. It's usually in that yellow or orange range. I think that has a lot to do with, stuff like industrial activity. So I'm fairly close to the paper mill, only a few blocks away. So I'm sure that contributes. This is low level stuff. So large trucks rumbling by, engine noises, large engines, large combustion kind of sources. I would imagine that's going to be the majority of that. So so you can see that on there, and I guess it takes that all into account. Again, fantastically impressive science. And then the other legend here is depth. So if it's less than 50 kilometers, it's in red, the circles for the earthquakes, and anything more than that are different colors, and you can see the magnitude is the size of the circle. So that's all cool. And then if you want to be really super geeky and check out the live stream in its own web page, you can click on where it says live stream there, and it will show you all this stuff. Now there's also there's a really super cool way that you can convert the spectrograph into sound waves that we can hear. So it converts it. Obviously, it's at an extremely low frequency that we can't hear, but it converts it to an equivalent frequency at our hearing range. So I haven't tried that out yet. I'm going to try that out because that's super cool. So there's a few other links in here. 24-hour plot. So this is just over the past 24 hours. So it calibrates on the strongest shaking that it's felt in the past 24 hours. So, I mean, this is super cool. That's so cool. I love this stuff. And this is actually where I got the embed code for the website. And you're welcome to take this and put it on your website if you like. I don't care. It's all good. There's the embed code if you want to put it on a website. This is what I have on the front page of the website. So that's the earthquake stuff. I'm so excited. I'm totally geeking out about all this stuff. These are the 4 sensors. It has 4 sensors. 2 are weak motion and 2 are strong motion. 2 are vertical and 2 are horizontal motion, or I think one. The 2 Zs here are vertical motion, strong and weak, I believe. And then the east and north, those are horizontal motion. So they pick up different kinds of seismic waves, and it does an amazing job. It's really so cool. Okay, so that's the earthquake stuff. Again, you can check it out on the front page. I put it in right underneath of the forecast. It's nice and narrow, so it didn't take up too much space between the forecast and the weather data. So there you go. Super cool. All right. I just wanted to. We don't have anything. It's clear out today. It should clear up. I think it was clear in town the last I looked. Yeah, it's looking absolutely beautiful out. So love it while you can, because this is the last day probably of clear weather for a while. We are going to have a switch over to a more normal wet pattern. February is often our coldest month. It's often, especially recently, it's often where we have been getting our only snowfalls of the year. So that has held true today and this year as well. You might have noticed an article in the paper about January, and it was very dry. Um, there's the 3.8 magnitude earthquake. Just see if I can pull that up. I just want to, yeah, there it is. So I just want to mention it was not the driest ever. The headline went a little overboard. I didn't write the headline. But yeah, it was the driest since the station at the Alberni airport was put in. So that's 1995, so 30 years. And it says here, Alemany operates Alberniweather.ca, likely to be the driest ever recorded at the Alberni airport and among the driest in the Alberni Valley. So I wanted to make that clear because I have gotten a little bit of feedback, and they were like, "No, it's not. Hasn't been the driest." And I didn't say that. I didn't say it was the driest ever, but it has been the driest for the station. So I'm going to just show you, just so you can see for yourself. So this is, again, these are the all of the data from Environment Canada over the past 130 years. 130? Yeah, 130 years. So going all the way to 1900, actually 1895, because rainfall, they started measuring rainfall before they started measuring temperature at the Beaver Creek Station. So in purple here is the airport. So I put these all in together so that you can kind of see how they correlated over time. Some overlapped, some didn't. But the purple is the current official station at the Alberni airport. So you can see this is 2025. So we had 60 millimeters of rain, of precipitation actually. And you can see there are no purple spots here anywhere else along the line here to 1995. So it is definitely the driest for that station for the past 30 years, which is a significant amount of time climatologically. And it goes back to, it looks like 1980 or so. You notice there is this little bop here, but I think these two stations, you can see the airport station was above, that was around 150 millimeters. So these are an anomaly here. Certainly from my station, I was having troubles doing rainfall. So that's the thing with these records, is you have to make sure that you validate each one when you really want to be super sure that that there's a record happening. So yeah, it really coming all the way back to 1985. Now I just want to see here. Yeah, both the SOMAS. So this is the previous official station, was the SOMAS station on the river, just across from the paper mill, and that's in red here. And the orange is the Robertson Creek station. So the last driest January was January 1985. So that's exactly 40 years. So there you go. So it was a little less. So it looks like it was about 30 millimeters or so. Um, it's not a live graph, so it doesn't give me the values there. But there you go. So, like I said, not the driest ever for January, but certainly as you can see along the bottom here, it's certainly among the driest. So, we don't get it very often, but there they are. And it's interesting because you can see there's a big gap here, 1985 to 2000 and really until now. So really, this whole past 40 years, you could almost flip that around and say, that the anomaly is that we had higher than 100 millimeters or so every January for the past 40 years. And now we have one lower because there are there's values under 100 millimeters here. Now the caveat with these early values is not only that measurements were sometimes a little less reliable then, but we're not entirely sure, or at least I'm not entirely sure, what they're measuring here. Are they measuring rain, as in actual rainfall, not snowfall? Are they measuring precipitation, which is a combination, snow and rainfall? The Alberni airport is measuring precipitation, so it takes into account both snow and rain. So I'm not sure whether these are measuring just rain or measuring precipitation. So if it's just rain, then most likely all of these precipitation values would be higher than the rain value, right? Because the snowfall amounts back in the day were generally much higher than they are today. So that's why I had that caveat in there. It's not the driest ever for a January in the Alberni Valley, but it is certainly among them. And I think in terms of rainfall and overall precipitation, I would be very surprised if it wasn't, in the top 3 driest ever in January. But I don't have the information to be able to make that determination. So unfortunately, Environment Canada has never sort of consolidated these and really verified these to get a solid baseline. There is a procedure that they have to make a valid climatological baseline to be able to make these kinds of comparisons. It doesn't mean that you can go back and forth and compare directly from one year to another, but it gives you a solid baseline where they can take into account any other variations or troubles with stations over the years and that kind of thing. So this is 150 or 130 year record from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different stations, 8 different stations actually, if you include mine. So there can be some variation there. The other portion of that is, and it was mentioned in the article, which is very true, which is there's differences between the Alberni Valley and the city of Port Alberni. And this is something that we in Port Alberni have come to know. Anybody knows that it's going to be hotter out in the valley than it is at the water in the summertime. And in the wintertime, it's colder out in the valley than it is in the city. So that's super common, and we all expect that. But the same goes a little bit with rain. There's usually more rain at the airport, more precipitation, more snow at the airport than there would be in the city. So we have that microclimate interaction there between the city close to the inlet, close to the head of the inlet, with the influence of the wind from the Pacific, and the influence of the mountains and the colder air in the valley. So we live in a very interesting and dynamic little part of the world. Okay, so that's that. Air quality has been pretty good, even with the cold weather. There's still lots of people who have wood stoves, but it is getting better, and those are either cleaning up or people are converting to heat pumps and stuff. So it is getting better. I think the air quality over time, so that's good. The almanac. I just wanted to show you our low temperatures here. We got down just to -9. Just actually doesn't have it here. Yeah, just shy of -9. So -8.6 was our low this week. The wind chill got down to -11. So that's cold for us, but it's not unusual. Our coldest ever is around -20. Back in the 80s, I believe, is when that last occurred. But yeah, we usually get these kinds of cold snaps at least once a year, especially in February. So pretty common stuff. All right. Last but not least, we'll check out the forecast. Let me just bring it up here. We should have enough out to hour 50. Yeah, so that's 2 days out. So we'll have some to look at here. So we do have some change in our pattern. Actually, let me look at the wide shot so you can see pattern coming in. There we go. So we have this system out on the North Pacific. It's been a while since there's been one there, and it is directing our way some weather. So you can see this is for the morning of Saturday. It starts a little bit ahead of then, with a little bit of rain on the west coast. But it will come in over the late morning and into the afternoon on Saturday. So this might be a mixture of rain and snow. It's going to depend completely on how much warm air gets into the region beforehand. So because it's in the morning, we'll be at our lows in the morning. Tomorrow morning, I think the forecast is -2. Where is it? Friday night, overnight low -2. Yeah. So Saturday, it says 60% chance of flurries in the morning, rain beginning near noon, except snow over higher terrain, risk of freezing drizzle. So that's going to be the biggest risk here, is freezing rain and freezing drizzle. Especially because the ground is frozen in a lot of places. If it's going to rain, then that rain will likely freeze onto the ground. So be really, really careful if you're out driving or if you're out walking, to beware for ice. It's not going to warm up significantly until a Monday or Tuesday, I believe. So we're going to have the weekend where it's still going to be pretty chilly. There's going to be places where it's going to be below freezing, especially at the start. And so we could see freezing rain. So yeah, so you can see the system here comes onto the island on the late morning on Saturday, and we should expect that to last and give us either rain or snow throughout the day on Saturday and into Sunday. You can see that it continues. So Sunday, it'll clear up a little bit on Sunday. So you can see it moves away there on Sunday afternoon. So we should see some clearing. There's a little bit of a ridge that pops up in there, and so that should give us a few clear skies. But then we're going to really get into a change in the pattern. So by Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, this is a large system coming through with rain, and this will be purely rain. The expectation is will be above 0, possibly 5, even 10 degrees. Again, we'll just see what they say. Yeah, Wednesday high of 7, low of 3. So Thursday high of 8. Yeah, so very warm, or at least a big switch from what we've been having the past couple weeks. So the rest of next week looks like a train of rain. So that's Saturday, Sunday, and then another one on Tuesday night comes in, and then Wednesday night, Thursday morning, another one comes in, and Friday, and then next weekend. So we're definitely into a switch in pattern from cold and dry and sunny to probably wet and cloudy and a bunch of fog. So I think that's all that I'll go. Oh, you know what? I wanted to see. They just put out the La Nina forecast. Let me see if I can grab it here. Outlook. No, that's not what I wanted. Where did you go? There you are. Okay, yeah, so they just put this out yesterday. So we're still in a La Nina advisory, but I'll just read this. So it says La Nina conditions are expected to persist in the near term, with a transition to ENSO neutral likely during March, May 2025. So we're still in a weak La Nina for now, is what they're saying. But they expect that to disappear completely, and we'll go into a neutral kind of state. So not La Nina and not El Nino conditions by the spring, so March to May 2025. So just to read on, La Nina conditions continued this past month, as indicated by the below average sea surface temperatures across the central and east central equatorial Pacific Ocean. The latest weekly indices were minus 0.6 and minus 0.9, with values close to 0 in Nino 1, 2, and Nino 3. Below average subsurface temperatures persisted, with below average temperatures dominating the central and eastern equatorial Pacific Ocean. Low-level wind anomalies remained easterly over the western and central Pacific, while upper-level wind were westerly over the central Pacific. The traditional and equatorial southern oscillation indices were positive. Collectively, the coupled ocean atmosphere system indicated La Nina conditions. So we're still in a La Nina. And as far as the forecast, it says the forecast team favors a weak La Nina through February to April, but there is also a 41% chance of ENSO neutral emerging in this season. So there's a slight chance, just below half, that La Nina will go away just before the spring. A weak La Nina is less likely to result in conventional winter or spring impacts, though predictable signals can still influence the forecast guidance. In summary, La Nina conditions are expected to persist in the near term, with a transition to ENSO neutral likely during March to May, which is what they said before. So there you go. So if we go and look at the outlooks here, let's just look at, yeah. So these are the 3-month outlooks. So we'll just take into account the Pacific Northwest, which we will be the same with. So February, March, April, they're expecting below seasonal temperatures and above seasonal precipitation. So that's interesting. If we look at April, May, June, or actually March, April, May. So that's spring. So for spring, below still a little less sure. So it looks like equal chances of below or average or above temperatures. Kind of gets up in there. So maybe slightly below normal temperatures for our region. And then for the seasonal precipitation, again, above average seasonal precipitation, but that starts to go away a little bit. So you can see it's retreated there. And if we want to look out to the summer forecast, as far as their current feeling here, seasonal temperature outlook, they're calling for above normal temperatures in our region. So a pretty good chance there, leaning above. And seasonal precipitation is below average for the summer areas. So that's not a big surprise. Okay, I think that's all I'll do today. Oh, one last thing. I want to introduce you guys to something that I've been working on. It's called Social BC. It is a Twitter alternative. It's made in Canada. It's controlled by folks here in BC. It's controlled by a nonprofit society. I'm on the board along with some friends, and we just started it in January. So you have a connection on this server to anywhere that people are posting in the world on the Mastodon network. So there's millions of people there. There's thousands and thousands of Canadians here, and it's been a really great place. There's no algorithm, so you are in control of what you see and what you post and what you follow. If you want to follow a person or you follow a hashtag, that's up to you. If you don't want to follow anybody, you just want to see one or two people, you can do that, and there won't be an algorithm telling you what to see. So it's very cool. There's, like I said, there's lots of content. Social BC is geared toward people in British Columbia. So one of the nice things about Mastodon is it lets you see timelines on the local server or from other servers or from all over the world. So again, it's not an algorithm. It's just a chronological feed of what pops up in real time. But it's really cool because you can see into this server. These are just people that are on Social BC. So the intent, the hope is that we can get lots of people in British Columbia talking about things that are happening in British Columbia, and just anything that's happening in BC, and we'll be able to see it really clearly and be able to follow up and create a community that's similar, like I said, similar to Twitter. It has a similar kind of feel to it, but very localized if we choose to be. So super cool. Alberniweather is there. I have my own personal account there as well, of course. But there's really great stuff. So please do go and check it out if you'd like. socialbc.ca. If you want to join a Canada-wide kind of instance, there's a whole bunch. mstdn.ca is Mastodon Canada. You can check that out, and there's a bunch of other ones as well. So check it out. That's Mastodon and socialbc.ca. It's Canadian. We're not in it to make billions of dollars. We're a nonprofit, and we're controlled by the members of the server. So all right, I think that's it. I'll stop it there. Thank you very much for watching. Hope to see you again soon, and have a great